last year. So I look at their wide receivers. I mean, if I'm getting the silver lining, DK Metcalf is just an utter dominating presence, and Tyler Lockett is dangerous combination of speed and savvy. And they also in the trade for, for Russell Wilson, they got Noah Fant. I mean, that gives them a playmaker up the seam who gets to attack all those open areas because of Metcalf and Lockett open up. But I have them going 3-14.
3-14. Hold on a minute now. Wow. Hey, Drew Lock's going to make about 1.7, fellas, to be a guy holding a clipboard or throwing a bad pass. It doesn't matter to him. Lugs, you made that much, I know, in semi-pro, but man, that's not bad.
Yeah, it was the CFL, actually. The Alouettes.
Oh, yeah.
Chanteplou Marais.
All I'll say is hopefully invest it wisely, because he's not going to get that many more bites at the apple.
Okay, so that's where you stand on all that. So shall we move on to Kyler for just a sec?
Oh, to talk about a guy who got overpaid.
Received his wish, and Arizona has its quarterback for years to come. It's a 5-year extension worth $230.5 million, including $160 million in guarantees. Boys, is this the right move for the Arizona Cardinals?
No. I just don't think so. When you have to put in a contract that he must watch 4 hours of film each week on the upcoming
That's kind of wild, isn't it?
I got to give it to him, though. If he hadn't been watching any film and he comes in and plays the way he has played, I will give him that, but I think I would have topped out at, say, 150 million with 75 guaranteed. So I good for him. Make the money when you can, but he's not durable. He's short.
Hang on a minute on that short thing. 5'10". Doug Flutie was 5'10", and he had a pretty good career. Did he not?
I don't think Flutie was 5'10", by the way. I walked next to Flutie.
What did you, with a tape measure?
Flutie was shorter than me, and I'm a sawed-off little sack. So,
did you have a tape measure with you or something?
No, I just stood beside him because I wanted to see, how tall is this guy? And he was a really genuinely nice guy. It was just an interview situation where we were talking to him.
Well, he and Kyler are allegedly the same height. Drew Brees is 6 feet even, and he was often criticized for being short. So just a point of reference from our crack research team. Go ahead.
Well, I do think the short is, even in some of those guys' instances, it still is a factor, because why I think they had to pay him. I'm not saying that they should have paid him. I think if you kind of look at their roster, a lot of those guys like DeAndre Hopkins is older. JJ Watt, obviously they signed a short term. They don't have a lot of guys like to get people to watch the team. Like they need to keep him. And I think he can
sell tickets.
Yeah. I think he can be a top 10 quarterback. The problem is he's getting paid top 5 quarterback money. And I mean, if I'm going to be hypercritical to a degree, I don't think he's ever going to be a top 5 quarterback. I just don't. You're kind of hitting on what Logan said. He's got durability issues. He's shown it particularly the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And I think he improved last year on this. He's never going, and this does factor into his height, is he's never going to be able to really consistently throw over the middle of the field. And Drew Brees was able to do that because obviously he had Sean Payton and he had a great offensive line, and they knew how to structure plays for him to really attack that situation. Now, some of that situation is on Cliff Kingsbury, and maybe they address that by maybe moving DeAndre Hopkins into the slot more to have a bigger target, like across the middle. And it sounds like, they signed they brought in Trey McBride, the tight end, to, maybe have double tight ends to attack the middle of the field more, just give him another big options. Maybe that helps him throw over the cross the middle. But I still always worry about him throwing across the middle of the field. And I just, and clearly that addendum they had where he must study the material independently of the team for 4 hours.
Wow.
Because it also had 2 other things in it that he must, when the screen is on, he must be present while the material is being played or being displayed. and he can't engage in other activities like watching a movie in the background or playing a video game. Like they had to get that particular. And again, this goes back to as good as he played, or as well as he played, why his agent did this opening salvo in this offseason to try to like push it. They clearly do not. There is
trust
concerns. Yeah. Trust. And there's also concerns about him being the leader, him paying this money. So like people can say we're being overcritical. It's in the team. Like they wouldn't do these things if they are worried about paying a guy who they clearly don't trust in terms of his leadership. So it is a huge problem.
I love the part where it said, must eat a case of Little Debbie Swiss cake rolls once a week. Did you see that? That's to help the growth part, the growth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a little nuclear energy there, you know.
But, okay, remember last year, they came out gangbusters, right? Won 9 in a row, if I remember right. But then there was the horrific thing everybody remembers is the playoff game against the Rams where he just kind of folded up, and it was a major disappointment. Lugs, you talked about that quite a bit before.
Well, yeah, I mean, the lasting shot for me was him basically just sitting over there, not paying attention to the game. It was like he'd said, that's it, I'm done. You know, and this is the guy, the quarterback in the NFL is the guy. You've got to be the one, no matter what happens, you show up. He didn't show up for his team. And if I'm in that locker room and I know, I mean, think about it. When they do their PR days, the first question is going to be to anybody on the team, the coaches, Kyler, anybody. What do you think about this, having to watch 4 hours of film? Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be something, and then you've got to walk in that locker room and say, I'm making $205 million or whatever it is, and this guy over here who's killing himself, watching every bit of film he can to make whatever $5 million. There's guy, you know, if I'm an offensive lineman, I might occasionally just do oops, and there you go. I mean, one of those 6'9", 358-pound boys fall on that little frame. I'm sorry. He's going to pop like a twig.
Little frame. Yeah, T-Dog, what do you think of that? I don't know.
I guess like we're kind of saying, obviously there's people, maybe like teammates who are maybe upset about it. You know, obviously people in the front office might be upset about it. I will tell you 3 people that are not upset about it. Lamar Jackson,
right?
Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow. Because again,
set the table.
Kyler Murray is good, but looking at his contract, all 3 of those guys are like, we're better than that guy. Those numbers all better be north of whatever his numbers are.
I was just going to say, is your boy Joe Burrow, what's he going to do without after the appendectomy?
He's going to be even better, whatever. You
lost
don't
a little
need
weight.
one.
Yeah,
he's
going to line up.
He's felt. He's
he's
going to have
on his
wiggle.
feet.
I wish him the best, actually, because I gave you guys all kinds of nonsense for supporting him so much. Because I didn't
fan club, dog. We were the charter members of the fan club. Come on, man.
Going back to what, 2019?
Yeah, represent,
yeah,
baby.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, let's stay in the NFC West. I just have this hypotenuse, something like that. What if the Niners just flat out cut Jimmy G? All right, that'll save them $25 million up front. And what if the Seahawks pick him up? What about that?
It could happen.
Yeah.
I'll say this. It could happen because I think they've earmarked that money for Debo. That's always been the most unique thing about the situation is the money they need to re-sign Debo to a big deal is Garoppolo's. So once they purge themselves of that, they can make Debo happy. And you go back, I'm not saying he'll ever replicate what he did last year.
No.
But that last year showed you just how special Debo is. He had, I believe, 1,400 yards receiving, and he had over 350 yards rushing. He had 8 rushing touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and again, I will say this. I'm not saying he's the most gifted wide receiver athlete. I don't know of any other receiver who has the physical combination of skills that could have done what he did last year.
Maybe Cordell Patterson in his time.
Yes.
In his time.
Yes. Yeah. but those unicorns are very rare.
True.
But I think obviously Jimmy Garoppolo is a big jump over Geno and over Drew Lock. That being said, kind of going back to looking at the roster, I think they're going to start 2 rookies at left tackle and right tackle for the Seahawks. So like I said, it's going to be rough regardless of who they get there. So
I don't think Jimmy G would. If I were Jimmy G, I wouldn't. I would just sit out because, as we've said before, somebody's going to get injured. He can get on a team that actually has a shot at making the playoffs.
Tom Brady. Tom Brady.
Well, I don't know about Brady, but think about it. If Jimmy G if Tua gets hurt, he goes to Miami. That's a good team now. They've got some pieces. So
yeah, but Teddy Bridgewater's already there, baby. He's waiting. He's waiting for you.
Well, he's not even waiting. He's
got the job.
He got in trouble. He got in trouble because he said he's gunning for it, which I don't know if they wanted him to say.
Yeah.
I will say, I guess my last thing is, I think they're probably are going to cut him, but I think they're kind of like what you're all talking about, Jay Boy. I think they're going to hold off. Yeah. They're going to hold on him through the for preseason. If no one gets hurt, then they'll cut him.
1 game at a time, 4 games, whatever.
Because maybe a quarterback gets injured in preseason. If not, they'll just release him at the end of preseason.
I was just going to say another place that I think that he could have a shot at landing would be down with New Orleans with the Saints, because Jameis Winston, he's not even the past. Don't even talk to me about the future. He's not even the past with those guys.
The past, present, and future. He's none of those ghosts of Christmas. None.
He doesn't show up. So I would like whatever. It would be fun to see Jimmy G in New Orleans.
All right, we're going to come back with some news and notes, including the Soldier Dome. I guess that's what we're going to call it. There's some uniform changes that go along with that team. But first, let's talk about things that go way back. Maybe we'll talk about Charles Dickens and the Ghost of Christmas Past. I don't know what he's going to talk about. Lugs with sports of yesteryear. Come on in here, Lugs. We got it now, baby.
All right. 1933, future Yankee legend Joe DiMaggio ends a 61-game hitting streak in the Pacific Coast League. Oh, where have you gone, Joe DiMaggio? A nation turns its lonely eyes to you. A little Simon and Garfunkel for you. Yeah. 1947, the 46th Men's French Open Tennis Championships. Joseph Asboth beats Eric Sturgis 8-6, 7-5, 6-4. Now, you can start the organ music a little bit. 1948, Babe Ruth's story, the movie premieres. Babe Ruth made his last public appearance at the premiere and was gone to the great game in the sky. I don't know if he's in Dyersville, Iowa or not, but he passed on it. Closer to home, 1970, Reds catcher Johnny Bench playing for a day in the outfield. He goes 4 for 5 with 7 RBIs, including 3 consecutive home runs off St. Louis Cardinals' Steve Carlton in a 12-5 win at Riverfront Stadium. And finally, ending our baseball tribute here, 1992, Nolan Ryan strikes out his 100th batter for the 23rd consecutive season. Amazing. Won't ever be repeated, I don't think. And that's sports of yesteryear.
Thank you, Lugs. Okay, so what you're saying is Johnny Bench should have been an outfielder.
I think so.
If he went 4 for 5 against Steve Carlton, 2 Hall of Famers right there, Carlton and the backstop, Johnny Bench. Man, 4 for 5? What?
Well, I mean, when you think about catchers, they're doing all that squatting, so you can't really run anymore. You know, you've been squatting down for hours. So anyway.
All right, one baseball note since we're on it. Last week, and then we'll get into some more NFL news. Last week, the Blue Jays humiliated the Red Sox 28-5. What's that? 4 touchdowns and anyway. Highlights included an inside-the-park grand slam, the most runs given up by the Red Sox since 1923. 2 players drove in 6 runs each, and 1 batter had 6 hits. It was not Johnny Bench. 28 runs is a Toronto team record. So the question is, boys, should the MLB institute a mercy rule? What do you think? Something's got to give.
But offense is what puts people in the seats, my friend.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, you know,